Let's talk about this even further and where the investigation stands. Let's bring in now forensic psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Bober. Dr. Bober, thank you so much for being with us, and you have been following this story quite closely as well. My first question to you, though, is from the perspective of investigators. Why do you think at this point in time, with so much of what they have recovered, and albeit it might be circumstantial, why is he not yet a person of interest? What threshold do investigators need to meet to reach that?
Well, I think they really want to go into it with a very strong case. I mean, it seems like there is a mountain of circumstantial evidence here. And when you think about these fraud charges and the fact that he lied to police already, he doesn't have a lot of credibility. There's physical evidence at the dump that may be tied to him. It's possible. We know that, he has a history of misleading people. So that in and of itself is highly circumstantial, but suspicious at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, is there any doubt in your mind, because we're all hoping for the best, obviously, but do you think there is some, I guess, glimmer of hope that she will be found alive, or is that not what investigators are operating under right now?
I'm doubtful about that, unfortunately. I think we've seen this too many times before, cases like Lacey Peterson, men who are just very narcissistic and psychopathic and just don't want to be in the circumstances that they're in. And I think that's probably what this is going to turn out to be.
Okay, we've been hearing, though, from, Anna Walshe's mother. We've been hearing from friends who knew her. We've been hearing from neighbors. What more can they provide, if anything, to investigators, do you think?
Well, I think they just need a timeline of what was happening up until the time that she disappeared, looking at his movements, his social media, which, as we know, they've already done. He searched how to dispose of an 115-pound woman, which, again, seems almost inexplicable. There's, forensic files and CSI out there. It seems like people wouldn't make such a sloppy mistake, which almost makes me think that if subconsciously he wanted to get caught, but he made certainly a lot of mistakes. So I think looking at the social media, looking at his movements, talking to the people that knew him, obviously doing a cell tower dump, looking at all his text messages are going to be critical in gathering information.
Yeah, so we know on Monday he was arraigned for misleading the police, and he put in a plea of not guilty to that specific charge. But you talk about sloppy mistakes. He was on home confinement. He has an ankle monitor. He's not supposed to be out and about, visiting.
He can be tracked, right?
Right. And so what's the thinking, do you think, behind those decisions, knowing that he is under such close surveillance for this, previous conviction for perpetrating art fraud?
Well, maybe he thought that the worst that would happen to him for leaving, in an unauthorized fashion was getting a slap on the wrist, and maybe he was so desperate to dispose of the body or dispose of evidence that he felt like he was going to take the risk. But clearly it was a very impulsive move that was not very well thought out, which is something that you see in these types of personalities.
Dr. Bober, is there, any kind of, evidence or facts that have come out in this story so far that would possibly lead you, maybe others in your community, to believe that there could be someone else involved in this, maybe Brian Walshe, if he, ever becomes a person of interest, hired assistants, other people to carry out this, whatever it may be?
Well, I think that's certainly a possibility, and some people would say that he was so sloppy and it was such a perfect case for the police that maybe in some way he was set up. I know that's an unlikely possibility, and I don't think that's what's happening here, but it's possible that he could have enlisted other accomplices. But I think what's really important to take from this case is that we know that 15% of all violence is intimate partner violence, that 1 out of 3 women and 1 out of 4 men have experienced physical violence in a relationship. So I think it's important to put it out there that this is really a national public health problem and that people need help and they need to get out of these relationships before things like this happen.
Yeah, in that interview with investigators, so Walshe failed to mention that he went to Home Depot on the 2nd in violation of his probation to buy about $450 in cleaning supplies. He was wearing a black surgical mask and blue surgical gloves. He paid in cash.
Very inconspicuous, right?
Right, and to me, it just seems like she's been missing since the 1st. It's now the 11th, and investigators are furiously searching for any, trace of her. In your estimation, when are we going to find, credit cards, debit cards, her cell phone, statements she made in the hours before she went missing. We don't have much on that.
No, but I think we're going to hear more about that soon. I mean, obviously, the police came up with this charge of lying to them to keep him contained while they continue their investigation, and I think we're going to hear about this stuff really soon. I mean, there's just so many ways that she can be tracked, that he can be tracked between the credit cards and the cell phones. Everyone leaves a digital signature every day, and I think it's going to be very easy to discover in this case.
Dr. Bober, last question. Where do we go from here? You're following this just as closely as we are. What are you going to be looking for?
Well, I'm going to be looking for, again, what you just said, the credit card information to see, what charges were made, what locations that she visited, and see if they can cross-reference them with his movements. That's what I'll be looking for.
All right. Dr. Bober, we appreciate your time and your insight into this, and we'll talk again. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Andrew.